Hello and welcome, Philipp Banse from the DLD 2016 in Munich for DCTP.tv, and my next guest is Mikko Hypponen. That was not for me. Let them discuss. Mikko, you're a head of research at F-Secure, a security company, and I wanted to talk to you about three things. First, security was for a long time considered the security of bits between hardware, between computer server, and now we know, thanks to Snowden and other revelations, the hardware itself, the router, the VPN server is compromised. And as a customer, I cannot really know, is the hardware I connect with my VPN to compromise? Can they listen to the connection? How do we get confidence back to the hardware? How do we do it?
Complexity is the enemy of security. And things have never been more complicated and more complex than they are right now. And they keep getting more and more complex. It's getting harder to be sure that our hardware is safe, because it's not just your computer. I mean, every single device you connect to your computer has its own CPU. Like your keyboard has its own CPU. Today, even your display has its own CPU. Every single USB stick has a CPU. So trying to secure all of it's basically becoming impossible. Nobody can be absolutely sure that their hardware is perfectly safe. We are beyond that already.
Okay. And what's your answer to this problem?
Well, the behind the scenes reason for that we can't trust our hardware anymore is basically geopolitics. It's the fact that we have been building our hardware based on this idea of paranoia instead of building it based on trust. Geopolitics means that when a company from, let's say, Japan buys sensors for his factory which are made here in Germany, and workstations which are made in United States, and a security system which is made in Russia, how does he actually trust them if he's worried about foreign nation states? And that's another question we don't really have a good answer for.
And this problem is even getting worse or more important since, we talk about the Internet of Things for a couple of years now, but now seems to be a time where it's really going forward. More and more devices are connected, devices get smaller. Many more devices are on the internet and connect themselves without basically any human control. What is the main topic security-wise in this area of Internet of Things?
It's quite clear that any device that we use to connect to electricity grid is already now, or in the near future, connected not just to electricity grid, but to the internet grid as well. And this means that everything will be online. Our appliances will be online. Our fridges, our toasters, our washing machines, our watches, our cars, our planes. And the problem we have there is that these appliance manufacturers don't really have a history of know-how of security engineering. That's not their main core business. Even worse, cybersecurity is not a selling point for an appliance. When you go and buy a washing machine, you don't really think about cybersecurity. You think about the features, you think about the size, and you think about the price. And when price is one of the main selling points of appliances, that means that these IoT manufacturers put the minimum amount of money possible into the cybersecurity features. And that's the core of the problem.
Werner Vogels, the CTO of Amazon, just told me here on this chair, well, Snowden really helped him to convince his customers to encrypt their data. Do you believe in? Do you think this is really a trend that companies like Amazon can help there in this sphere?
Encryption has increased tenfold, 100-fold on the internet over the last 2 years. One of the reasons is this awareness that people have got from Snowden and from other similar cases. So, for example, I've been using email encryption with the PGP tool since 1992. I've never used it more regularly than I'm using it today. If you look at how we were surfing 5 years ago and how we're surfing today, more and more of the sites have SSL encryption. So the URL is not HTTP, it's HTTPS. For example, 5 years ago, your Google searches were not encrypted. Today, they are encrypted.
But still you say, well, when the Internet of Things comes, security is not a high priority on the list. How does it? How can we make it a high priority?
Well,
then?
encryption is not security.
Ah.
Encryption and security are different things. They are related, but the fact that everything is encrypted wouldn't mean that we would be secure. If you can breach person's credentials, if you can become him, for example by getting his password, then you can see everything he sees, including all the encrypted information. And these IoT devices have many vulnerabilities because of software bugs, which makes it possible to breach them regardless of the encryption. So when we see encryption broken, it's almost never by breaking the encryption algorithm. It's almost always implementation flaws and bugs.
And when suppose we say you start an Internet of Things company, how would you make your stuff secure? Would you say, well, we use we make it all open source, or we use a certain standard, or how would you approach the security question?
I would invest in good old security engineering, teaching my developers to do security engineering correctly, focusing on the security and the compartmentalization of these devices, because that's something which exists in security companies but doesn't really exist in traditional software companies, and it really has no history at all in appliance manufacturers.
And do you have an example of a product or a service which is an Internet of Things service but implemented well?
Well, some of the car manufacturers are clearly waking up now. Last summer we saw many revelations around car safety issues and security issues, and car manufacturers hate that. So they are really investing heavily into that, and we are getting much more safer cars from the point of view of cyber safety, not traditional car safety.
All right. I think your talk is about to start here at the DLD. Thank you very much for your time, Mikko. Mikko Hypponen from F-Secure. My name is Philipp Banse from the DLD 2016 in Munich. Thank you very much for watching. See you soon. Bye.